Kelvin, we are in Memphis.
We're in Memphis. They get free sandwiches.
I believe I'm going to Beale Street after this.
Oh, careful now.
Yeah,
careful.
I see.
You're really going to Beale Street tonight?
Yes,
All
I am.
right. Don't spend it all on Beale Street. Get around a little bit if you can.
E se eu te contar que o rei do rock vai ganhar um novo filme sobre a vida dele, que eu já assisti e que eu amei?
You're looking for trouble? You came to the right place.
Eu vim aqui pra Memphis, nos Estados Unidos, pra ver de perto o lugar onde o rei cresceu e onde ele começou a carreira dele.
There's a lot going on down Beale Street tonight. The place where the blues began in Memphis, Tennessee.
Essa cidade, gente, ela respira soul, rock and roll, ou seja, é o lugar perfeito para eu conversar com o elenco do filme. Eu sou a Valentina Pulgarín e esse é o Inside Warner Elvis.
Are you ready to fly?
I'm ready. Ready to fly.
This movie took a lot of physical work from you, with the singing, the dancing, the performances. In which way do you think this movie helped you push forward your boundaries as an actor?
That's a really good question. It's so much pressure that you feel. It's crazy. That amount of fear that you're feeling constantly and the amount of responsibility that I felt. I couldn't sleep for 2 years.
I never looked for trouble, but I never ran.
I felt like the film was on the line. I felt like my career was on the line. And it hit me that that's exactly what Elvis felt.
Yeah.
His career was on the line. And so then it's like seeing it through his eyes and walking out there. It became this out-of-body experience.
Well, you may go to college,
It transcended anything that I thought that was going to be.
but if you're gonna start a rumble, don't you try it out.
It opened up so much in me as far as those feelings when you think something, you can't do something, and then you push through it. So it was magical.
Se tem Elvis, é claro que outros personagens históricos também aparecem no filme, né, gente? B.B. King, Little Richard e Sister Rosita são alguns desses ícones que têm performances emocionantes.
I played a young 22-year-old sexy Little Richard, so I got to really rock out with that.
You were acrobatic, darling.
We did a lot of homework, a lot of studying and reading about these people because they were the first.
They might put me in jail for walking across the street, but you're a famous white boy.
In this movie, we actually get to see that Elvis was a B.B. King fan first. What do you think your character brings in a gentle side of Elvis, maybe in a humble side of him to the screen?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think BB allows Elvis to just settle into the excitement and the fame of who he is, and it kind of grounds him back to just like, man, like you're still an artist.
Yeah.
Trust your instincts, trust yourself, and just be you. Yeah. Don't let this guy, Colonel Tom Parker, get in your head.
I wish to promote you, Mr. Presley.
Elvis wanted to book more dates, so I booked more dates. He would always put it in this kind of framework of I was just trying to give my boy what my boy wanted. Now, whether or not that worked his boy to death, I'll leave that up for the audience.
We are the same, you and I. We are two odd, lonely children reaching for eternity.
We saw in the movie how Colonel, he really was into making Elvis merch.
Yeah.
Do you had the chance to buy something?
Every time I'm at Graceland, I buy merchandise.
Nice.
I love it. You gotta get something.
I have like some merch from the film, which I love to have, and some like beautiful photographs.
Yeah.
But maybe I think that's one of the things I want to do since I'm here is pick up something like really nice and beautiful.
And well, I felt that this is a very male-dominated story.
It is.
How do you think Priscilla could bring us like that break from that energy?
It's a very masculine energy, sort of like there's a lot of that around, and I think that what she was sort of a breath and a break and home and grounding and that sort of soft touch that he was really missing in his life.
And you got to do that, I think, really.
Thank you.
Entre uma entrevista e outra, eu ainda tive o tempo de conhecer a casa do Elvis, gente. Casa não, né? Mansão. A Graceland Mansion é hoje um museu sobre a vida e carreira do Elvis e recebe todos os dias fãs como eu hoje. Além do elenco, eu tive a honra de entrevistar o diretor do filme, o Baz Luhrmann. Gente, ele é conhecido por ter dirigido filmes icônicos como Moulin Rouge e Great Gatsby.
Valentina from Brazil, from Warner Channel.
Love Brazil.
Next movie, please come to Brazil.
Eu aproveitei esse dia para falar com ele sobre como foi a relação dele com a Priscilla Presley e com a família inteira enquanto ele gravava o filme.
Were you really yesterday having a barbecue with the Presley family then?
I've done a lot of things in my life. I've been to Cannes, It was dream-like. I mean, the whole family came together and they invited us over, and not only was there a barbecue at the back of Graceland, we were in the jungle room having drinks. I realized I've studied Graceland. People have been there as tourists. It's like going to the White House. You go, it's kind of you think it's like a church or something. I don't know, it's a sacred place. It was a home. Last night, it was a home.
É bem comum a gente assistir a filme sobre uma celebridade e ficar sabendo que a família dela não autorizou a obra, né? Nesse caso é diferente. A Priscilla Presley assistiu, se emocionou e disse que essa sim é a história verdadeira sobre o rei.
And understandably, Priscilla said it last night. She was nervous. She was like, Baz can be a bit wackadoo. She's also like, what's he gonna do with my husband and with my life? It's their lives. I've told the story before, but there was never more nervous a moment than just recently when I had to show them the movie because I invited them to Cannes. And they were like, we're not going to Cannes unless we see. What if it's like a hack job or something? And you heard last night what they said.
So to have them and their support to, you know, they had nothing to do with the film, so them being here is obviously just because they love the film and support, so it's really special.
So I know you had the chance to get lunch with Priscilla before shooting. After that lunch, what was that one personality trait of the Colonel that you were sure you had to put in your performance?
They loved him.
Yeah.
In fact, they loved him. They
were you
said,
surprised?
I was shocked because I was prepared to hear all I had heard, whether he was manipulative and he was a crook and he always said no and he never let Elvis do what Elvis wanted to do. And both Priscilla and Jerry Schilling, said he was a lovely man and we're sorry he's passed. We're sorry he's dead. I wish he were alive today.
There are some who'd make me out to be the villain of this here story.
Some of the Memphis Mafia didn't have the nicest things to say about him, but because they had to negotiate. Priscilla said the most important thing to me, said that he never said no. He always said, whatever you'd like, let's try to make that happen. But he was not his manager, he was his promoter.
Without me, there would be no Elvis Presley.
Do you remember what was the first Elvis performance you got to shoot?
The first thing we shot was the 68 special.
No
That's
way.
the very first thing. That was the second day of shooting.
No way.
Yeah.
Baz was not kidding.
Not kidding.
How did you guys choreograph like your musical performances?
Like, I didn't have to body flip or like, you know, anything like that. But I had to learn to shred.
Oh.
I know. So it's time to be terrified.
And she
Your
did
first
that.
shreds ever in like a mainstream blockbuster movie.
That's a good way to start.
Yeah, you know, perfect place for your first solo ever. So if you see my fingers doing anything, that's me.
She kills it.
Well, I know you spent long hours in the makeup chair, but I really wanted to know, how do you jump into the mindset of a character like the Colonel, and what kind of tools do you use besides the makeup?
Well, there were two key pieces. A long interview that he gave to a radio reporter in 1956 that was fascinating. And there was a long shot on television that he did on the 10th anniversary of Elvis's death. And I went back to those over and over and over again, not just for the dialect and the sounding of certain words, but also the attitude and the little hints between the words.
I grew up with Sister Rosetta, so I was like really just already in the nose. I've got like read the book Shout Sister Shout and all this, and so like I'm a real I nerd up enough, you know.
More so a lot of the performances, really the music, listening to all the albums, listening to the cadences.
Especially with musicians, they usually speak like they play.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take that in. And then I looked at he did this guitar tutorial where he explains his improvisation. You know when someone holds on a note and uses more vibrato. And I was like, okay, cool, I can do this with certain words.
Early on, it was finding, because you move differently in different clothes, so even before I got the job, I was like buying pants from the 50s and just feeling what they feel like.
I know you.
Yeah, look at you got good style.
Baz's films are always immersive and always incredibly sensitive, and they sort of indulge all of your senses. And I think that it was such a energetic story and such an explosive tale that, yeah, Baz was the only person to tell that.
Elvis chega agora nos cinemas e muito em breve você também vai poder assistir na sua casa. Eu sou Valentina Pulgarín e esse foi o nosso Inside Warner Elvis.
the greatest show on earth.